I feel so special today.
Can you feel a different vibe in the air today?
Yeah, I think we have a new member.
We do indeed. Joining the agenda for the first time is Brandon. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, guys. Hello, everyone. Thank you guys for checking out the agenda. For you guys that don't know, my name is Brandon. I go by Let's Go B Jones on social media. A little bit about me. Before I came to Korea, I was a wahakja, they say.
Oh, wow.
A scientist. Yes. I used to make medicine at a pharmaceutical company. Then I came here, got into entertainment, doing that, and now these days I'm also doing computer programming at an AI company.
Wow.
So a little bit of a jack of all trades, you know.
That's perfect for the agenda. We talk about so many different things. So with this positive energy, why don't we jump straight into our first topic?
Well, today's topic is not pharmaceuticals, but it is something really cool. It's the Arctic route.
Oh.
Wow, Arctic route. It has been such a hot issue lately, especially President Putin even mentioned about this connecting the Arctic and the Far East. So let's get into it.
Okay, yeah, well, let's check it out.
Let's get it.
What you're seeing right now is one of the clearest warning signs the Earth is sending us. The Arctic ice melting before our eyes. However, this catastrophic phenomenon is paradoxically opening doors to new opportunities for some, all because of the Arctic shipping route.
Россия – это крупнейшая арктическая держава. Причем мы готовы к совместной работе не только с арктическими государствами, но со всеми, кто, так же как и мы, разделяет.
The Arctic shipping route refers to the sea passage that runs along Russia's northern coast, passing through the Bering Strait and the Arctic Ocean, all the way to Europe. Experts predict that by the mid-2030s, due to global warming, all Arctic sea ice could disappear during the summer, making it possible to use this sea route commercially all year round.
전 세계 무역의 80% 이상이 바다를 통해서 이루어집니다.
The biggest reason the Arctic shipping route is drawing attention is its economic potential. Currently, when transporting cargo from Korea to Rotterdam in the Netherlands, ships typically pass through the South China Sea and the Strait of Malacca, then transit via the Suez Canal, a journey of about 22,000 kilometers that takes roughly 40 days. However, by using the Arctic shipping route, that distance can be reduced by around 7,000 kilometers, shortening the sailing time by more than 10 days.
이것은 단순히 시간을 아끼는 게 아니라 연료비, 운항비, 기타 비용들을 절대적으로 줄일 수 있는 효과가 있습니다.
Top of that, the vast natural resources buried in the Arctic itself are another key reason why global powers are turning their attention to this route. For instance, take Greenland, the very place President Trump has his eyes on. It holds vast deposits of rare earth minerals, essential for manufacturing advanced weapons like the F-35A.
We need Greenland, very importantly, for international security. We have to have Greenland.
Currently, China controls more than 90% of the world's rare earth refining. If the US can take the lead in Arctic development and secure the ability to mine and refine these minerals, it could significantly reduce its dependence on China. According to research by the US Geological Survey, the Arctic is believed to contain about 13% of the world's undiscovered oil and 30% of its undiscovered natural gas reserves.
러시아와 중국은 이미 북극 에너지 벨트를 추진하며 에너지와 물류를 잇는 새로운 산업 벨트를 구축하고 있습니다. 미국과 캐나다, 노르웨이, 그리고 유럽 연합도 이에 대응하여 자원 확보와 해상 통제권을 둘러싼 경쟁에 나서고 있습니다.
Throughout history, the nations that ruled the seas have ruled the world. The Roman Empire built its dominance through control of the Mediterranean, while Western Europe rose to global prominence by mastering the Atlantic. And since the 20th century, the United States commanded the Pacific, securing both economic prosperity and global influence. And now, as the ice melts, a new ocean is opening. In this dawning age of the Arctic Ocean, who will emerge as its next great power?
Wow. So climate change, economy, resources, it seems like everything is kind of surrounded around this topic. Brandon, what do you think?
I mean, I thought the video was really interesting. And as you guys know, the Arctic has a lot of interesting things going over there. You know, you got many countries over there. My favorite animal, the polar bears. So, you know, global warming might be affecting my favorite animal, the polar bears.
Oh, no.
Yes.
But when we talk about the countries that are interested in the Arctic Circle and making moves to it, it's got to be Russia.
Right, definitely Russia. Russia actually has been pursuing this plan for a long time. And then President Putin mentioned about this 20-year development goal for this region. For Russia, it's economically, not just economically, but politically important as well. Because currently for the most global trades go through the Suez Canal, which is located in the Middle East. And then it's under the influence of the U.S. And then, as I mentioned, it's located in politically and geographically quite unstable area. So not just Russia, but actually other countries in the East, including Japan, Korea, and China, has been looking for an independent and secure global route. And then Arctic route actually goes the other way. So it provides that opportunities, right?
Yeah, it's interesting you brought up China too, because China is a landlocked country that's 1,400 kilometers away. But it still is kind of considering itself as part of this as well. And I think they're trying to also create a route called like the Ice Silk Road. And so, Silk Road. But it's not just all talk. You know, China has also been working with Russia and other places to also kind of follow route in this way as well.
Yeah, and if we talk about the big powers, Russia, China, the US usually isn't far behind.
Correct.
But yeah, what are they doing? Haven't they been playing global peace for too long to like concentrate on this Arctic route?
I mean, as an American, wherever we go, we don't leave. So we got a base everywhere. But I know from the history, from like, as we know, the Cold War, Russia, USA, there were a lot of fighting up there. And one of the main things is because it's right there, like you have Russia, you have Alaska, you have Canada, and then you have mainland. Both sides have a lot of bases up there. Because time has changed, stuff has died down a little bit, their bases were decommissioned. But because of the political climate that's happening with like Ukraine, Russia is ramping up stuff, bringing back old bases, same with the United States. And then like one of the interesting things is that I hope you guys know NATO, right?
Yes.
The global group, the power is, because of what's happening right now, NATO just had one of their biggest collaborations with all their military groups in the Arctic to try to prepare and get ready for what could or could not happen. Obviously, we don't want anything bad happening.
Of course.
But if something did happen.
And because it's full of ice, like we learned, like when we were at school, I think those icebreaker vessels are really important. And because the US kind of took its eye off the ball, their technology is way behind, and I think they've only got a few aging vessels, whereas
Correct.
Russia has like 40, including nuclear-powered ones, so they're ahead of the curve there, right?
I guess that explains why Trump recently reached out to Korea, because we are one of the top shipbuilding nations.
Oh, yes.
And then I would assume that Korea's role is not going to be just limited to building ships for the US, but it can be extended to international cooperation for this entire Arctic development as well as logistic, I guess.
There's a lot of collaborations between the two countries.
Yes.
So we had the military bases, but all that technology sharing, great things could happen from it.
Yeah, and even like the Busan port area, right? It's considered one of the hubs in Northeast Asia. And I think part of the reason why the Lee Jae-myung administration is trying to focus on developing the infrastructure there is because right now it is considered one of the top ports, but it can also do a lot more in the future as well.
Yeah, it's actually good news for my hometown, Busan, right?
Mohano.
But the issue is that, it's a bit tricky because even the Arctic routes get developed, it belongs to Russian territory. Over the half of these Arctic routes belongs to Russian territory. And then the major logistic route, which is Northern Arctic route, you have to go through the exclusive Russian economic zone. It means that they may require you to pay, excessive, transit fee and other conditions, who know, right? So I guess this development might be successful, but it always depends on our relationship with Russia and the US and, all these politics.
There's such a grey area, right, up in the Arctic. Like, although countries do own bits and pieces, there's some that is run by the international community. So thinking about this Arctic route, it seems like there's a lot of opportunity,
Yes.
but there's going to be a lot of competition moving forward, hopefully peaceful competition.
Yes.
But Brandon, because you've joined us this week, why don't you take the one-line summary for our first topic?
Okay. And since there's all those beautiful animals up there, and if we're going to their houses, we got to be considerate.
Okay.
So you got to ask the polar bears. Ask the polar bears for permission if we're going to be at their house, okay? Be like,
Modern Korean society, where about 51 million people live together today. Recently, non-traditional family structures, such as single-person households and unmarried cohabiting couples, have been growing rapidly, outpacing the traditional family model centered on parents and children. Last year, the number of single-person households nationwide surpassed 10 million for the first time, and non-family households, which numbered around 200,000 in 2010, rose to about 540,000 in 2023.
네, 저는 지금 친구와 함께 3년간 동거를 하고 있습니다. 대학교 입학 후부터 계속 자취를 해왔어요. 근데 어느 순간 혼자 사는 삶이 오래되니까 가끔은 좀 외롭다는 생각을 했습니다. 그러던 중에 학교 동기가 룸메이트를 찾는다는 소식을 듣고 그때부터 그럼 같이 한번 살아보면 어떨까 하면서 함께 살게 되었습니다.
A family not based on marriage or blood ties is no longer an unfamiliar choice. Experts say that in Korean society, not only the structure of families, but also the perception of what constitutes a family is rapidly changing.
제가 2020년에 외롭지 않을 권리라는 책을 써서 생활동반자법에 대한 처음 대중서를 발간을 했었는데요. 동거를 법적으로 등록한다라는 개념 자체가 낯설었었고 지금 이제 우리가 하나의 사회적 상식처럼 되었고 기존의 혼인이나 혈연 체계가 아닌 방식으로 가족을 만들고 싶고 그런 필요가 실질적으로 많이 늘어났기 때문에 생활동반자법이라는 개념도 그만큼 많이 유명해졌다고 생각하고 있습니다.
The shift is clearly reflected in the numbers as well. According to the 2024 Social Survey by Statistics Korea, 67.4% of respondents said they believe a man and a woman can live together without getting married, and 37.2% said it's acceptable to have children without marriage. However, experts point out that laws and institutions still remain rooted in the traditional concept of family.
큰 수술을 받아야 하는 경우에는 병원에서 보호자 사인이 꼭 필요하다고 알고 있습니다. 그렇지만 혈연관계 혹은 혼인관계가 아니라면 친구가 대신 사인을 해주지는 못한다고 알고 있어요. 또 이제 무연고자가 법적으로 무연고이지 실질적으로는 동료나 친구가 있는데도 혈연관계가 아니라는 이유로 장례를 대신 치러주지 못한다고 알고 있어요.
These issues also apply to the growing number of single-person elderly households in Korean society. A typical example is elderly individuals without a spouse or children, who often have no one to provide consent in emergency situations.
사실 한국 사회에서 가장 수가 많고 또 실질적인 도움이 필요한 1인 가구들은 노인 1인 가구들이거든요. 지방정부나 중앙정부 입장에서도 돌봄의 부담을 덜 수 있고 고독사의 문제도 예방할 수 있고 그분들의 일상의 삶의 질이 훨씬 좋아지고 위험에서도 안전할 수 있기 때문에 모두에게 좋은 방안이다.
Amid this, the Life Partnership Relations Act has been reintroduced to the National Assembly, drawing attention once again.
생활동반자법은 혼인이나 혈연 외에도 성인이 내가 같이 살고 싶은 사람을 이제 국가에 등록을 하면은 그 둘이 같이 사는데 필요한 사회복지 혜택을 주고 또 둘 사이도 분쟁이 있을 때 재산이나 폭력의 문제 그런 것들이 있을 때 피해자가 없이 합리적으로 해결할 수 있도록 하는 법을 다 합쳐서 생활동반자법이라고 부르는데요.
President Lee Jae-myung also mentioned the act during a press conference in July,
인권의 문제도
saying he would pay closer attention to human rights issues.
고독사로 죽는 경우들도 있고 또 이제 경제적 빈곤이라든지 이 부분에 처해 있지만 법적인 테두리에서 이들을 보호해주지 못하고 있는 경우가 있는데 저는 이 부분을 제도가 좀 보완을 해서 사회적으로 서로를 돌볼 수 있는 그런 보호망을 넓힐 수 있도록 하는 게 필요하지 않나 생각을 하고요.
Of course, there are still many concerns. But in a rapidly changing society, the question, what does family mean, has become an issue that can no longer be postponed.
Brandon and Peter, both of you are married. You've been living in Korea for a long time.
Too long.
Now.
I got gray hair now, so 10 years.
And so you've seen like the development of these non-kin kind of non-traditional types of families. What do you guys think about this?
It's good, like diversity-wise, I think. But Korea's big problem is a low birth rate.
Correct.
And so if we encourage non-kin families where no one's having children, I don't think that's what we want to be doing. But of course, accepting diversity is definitely good, I think.
Yeah, I think as an American, it's a little bit different. To each their own. All I care about, if you are happy and you're happy, do what you want to do. I don't care. It's not my reason to judge. But in America, we have like common law marriage or something. So people cohabitate for many years, and sometimes, depending on the state, they can get government benefits or support or something. But even in Korea, I know a lot of foreigners, they date Koreans or date other people. They end up living together. And ideally, hopefully, they end up getting married. And then ultimately, they end up having kids and support the economy or help the birth rate and stuff like that. But as long as you're happy, contributing to society, paying your taxes, I don't think there's a problem with it.
Sure. The only issue seems to be like people who are happily living together but not married in Korea are still not having the same legal protections, right, as people who are married. So they're not getting welfare benefits, tax benefits. I don't think you're allowed to sign consent forms at the hospital either, right?
Correct.
So I don't know where we solve that issue. Why is the law lagging so far behind, I wonder?
I mean, it's been always the case where, young people's perception and attitudes are, faster compared to the institution and culture. But I guess that's especially the case in Korea because we experience such a rapid modernization and economic growth. So institution and law has been very slow to catch those things up. So I guess now it's time for us now we are talking about this, and then I think society and then policymakers are going to talk about this issue, about partnership, what defines family, and then how law can protect these, boundaries.
Just time. Like as you said,
I think so.
You guys rapidly develop and your laws are still catching up, but someday they're going to catch up and everyone will be happy under the sun. So
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
So recently, the National Assembly proposed a Life Partnership Relations Act where people who aren't married, who are living together, can be protected legally in certain ways. And even in 2023, they tried to do this, but it didn't work out. And so hopefully we're hoping that this time there's a lot more improvement in this sense.
But a bit worried that it might devalue your traditional marriages, right? And then we don't want to turn people off from getting married, right? People might see, we can get the same benefits, but we don't need to spend XYZ on a marriage. We don't need to, do the whole palaver of getting a venue and things like this, which I think is, beautiful. So how can we keep that kind of balance, I wonder?
Yeah, I think it's hard, but we have to always keep in mind that family is not just one shape and one structure, right? And I think that having people become more open to that over time is going to be really important, and accepting just different types of families. Korea is a society with compressed modernity, so we are seeing a older generation and a younger generation that have very different values and very different, thinking, thought processes. So hopefully we can find a way to get them to understand each other, and then the family might be kind of the first way to start with that.
Yeah.
I think Korea is probably at that transition point a lot later than some other countries, maybe the US and the UK. But what do you think is the ideal, if there is such a thing, like family unit that Korea should be striving for?
Happiness.
The happy family.
Work-life balance.
I guess more inclusive model, because the current model is too restrictive, and then unintentionally it's leading to discrimination against some people who would like to form their family on their own. So I guess more inclusive family model.
100%.
I think this goes back to what Peter mentioned. If we want to see increasing birth rates and a larger population, flourishing economy, then we have to be more accepting towards all different types of family models.
But I think at the end of the day, all that people want is their relationship to be respected, right? And so, John, why don't you give us a one-line review of this topic?
Okay, I would say there are people as precious as family.
That aren't family necessarily.
To mark the 80th anniversary of the founding of the Workers' Party, North Korea held a massive military parade. Thousands of troops and military assets filled the square, and the procession of weapons unfolded with far greater precision and visual impact than ever before. At the heart of the parade were North Korea's latest weapons. The highlight among them, the new intercontinental ballistic missile, Hwasong-20. North Korea claims this missile can directly strike the U.S. mainland, calling it the final and complete version. Last month, North Korea conducted a ground test of its new solid fuel engine, which it says is now mounted on the Hwasong-20 missile. It also unveiled what appears to be a multiple warhead payload. Compared to previous liquid fuel models, the new solid fuel system shortens launch preparation time and can be fired from mobile launchers, making detection and interception far more difficult.
It can be launched quicker and faster, and that's for DPRK, it's critical for their survivability of their ICBMs. So in that sense, I think the intended role for Hwasong-20 is, of course, targeting US, increasing their deterrence capabilities by being able to reach US mainland.
In addition, North Korea showcased its hypersonic missile, Hwasong-11 a supersonic cruise missile, and AI-powered unmanned systems. The display highlighted North Korea's focus on enhancing the speed and maneuverability of its advanced weapon systems.
A number of the total weapons that showed actually decreased from the last time, but a lot of experts therefore assess that this is North Korea's concentration to qualitatively increase their capabilities, not quantitatively.
Alongside the parade, North Korea also showcased a wide range of military assets at the Defense Development 2025 exhibition, unveiling various missiles, including a new submarine-launched ballistic missile. Another eye-catching display was North Korea's new suicide drones and small UAVs. They were designed not only for reconnaissance, but also for offensive missions. Electronic warfare equipment, early warning systems, and command and control networks were also featured prominently, underscoring a growing focus on information warfare. These developments show North Korea's efforts to quickly adapt to the changing nature of warfare through AI, unmanned systems, and intelligent automation. Experts interpret this showcase not as an exhibition of finished weapons, but as a progress report on ongoing development.
About actual deployment capability, I think there is always readiness caveat when it comes to North Korea's new capabilities. They always parade their new equipment, but then including this Hwasong-20, there has been no actual flight test of this model. Interestingly, this time's speech did not include direct mention of US or South Korea. This was not a usual thing, but I think what I was taken most was kind of a dual-track messaging they showed was Hwasong-20 ICBM, which is their will to be able to target US mainland. And Kim Jong-un did not mention South Korea, but then in the broadcasting of the military parade, actually termed South Korea as the most hostile nation.
Amid efforts to solidify its image as a nuclear power, what may matter more than the new weapons themselves is the message they send to the world.
Yeah, and the thing that really impressed, I don't know is the right word, but surprised me was the suicide drone, right? That kind of technology seems really advanced. I was surprised that North Korea has that. I mean, it makes you wonder, where do they learn that kind of technology from?
At least recently, we've seen North Korea working closely in terms of its technical and nuclear development and cooperation with a lot of other countries, including Russia, including countries in the Middle East. And we've seen a lot of the development there kind of growing as well.
Then they also have a lot of industrial spies as well. So it might be the...
As long as they have people to collaborate, that's the thing. Like you can't stop two countries from talking, but if they're talking secretly, exchanging ideas, there's always a threat of them learning something new and making stronger and potentially better weapons. So how do you stop that? how do you stop someone from making a phone call or sending an email? That's the hard part.
It's impossible to clamp down completely.
Yeah, and
right?
especially after the start of the Russia-Ukraine war, we really saw North Korea collaborating or cooperating a lot with Russia in terms of this nuclear development. So
if we compare the forces then, are they even comparable, North Korea and South Korea?
So as of yet, no, because South Korea has one of the top militaries in the world. I think around top 5, whereas North Korea ranks around 30th to 40th. So we still have a lot of room in terms of, keeping ourselves stable in that sense. But also, South Korea has a lot more advanced naval and air and land bases as well. And so quality-wise, South Korea is much more advanced still. So hopefully we can maintain that.
Yes. The one good thing you can say is like Korea has a lot of friends. We do have the military bases here, so if something did happen, you have 3-4 other countries very close by that could come and assist if they needed to. So that's also one thing you got to consider.
But North Korea also has a lot of scary friends, right? The big scary friends.
You got us.
Okay, hopefully. But in the end, I can see that North Korea is trying to do both show of force and then a real warning threats, right? So technically, as we mentioned, maybe things are not complete and then things might not be working, but I can clearly see that they've been really trying hard to catch things up with the new technology especially.
Yeah, they mean business. But these days, I don't know, the world order doesn't seem to just be dictated by military might, right? It's a big combination of things like technology, like intelligence and diplomacy, right?
Money.
We need all of these things and money, of course. So I don't know how this is going to be summed up, so I'm going to pass it on. Give us a one-line review for this last one.
Okay, so let me think. Security without force is the best.
Yeah.
Yes.
You don't want to utilize that.
Yeah.
Right? Another week with lots of insightful talk about a wide range of topics.
Yes, and I really like the fact that we talk about so many different topics. But what's more interesting for me is that I have no idea where our conversation will go.
Yeah, and there's so many different topics, but also so many different answers. There's no one answer, which I really like.
Yeah.
I wish it was like that in school exams. That would have been fantastic. Brandon, how was your first week with us?
Man, it was terrible. Y'all had me sweating. No, I'm joking. It was amazing. I was happy to be here. The agenda was great. Met some amazing people. Was just happy to be here to give my opinion.
Then next week, same time, same place.
I can come back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess we see everyone next week.
Yeah.
Next week.
See you next week.
Now he's mentioned.